All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yehoshai, Ba'ashem Charakakudash. Double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutes to all the sincere elect out there. Aria, back at you with another lesson. We're in the time of apostates, sellouts, and agents. And there's a lot going on. There's a whole heap going on. If you've seen it, you've seen it. But it's on TikTok for us, for everybody to see. If you want to check it out on YouTube, what happened over there in the Parliament. This was the the Danish member of the European Parliament, right? And he'd be throwing out these. I'm just going to let you hear it for yourself. If you've seen it, you've seen it. But it's what the Benjamin they call this a puppy show. It's a big puppy show. Let's play it.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, off. Dear...
He said, let me put it in words that you might understand, right? Because Trump's, he's, I don't know if you call someone like Trump. He's out of the box. He's unpredictable. And he'd be frying his stat. He's more stat than his fellow. So it's almost you have to just confront him. And he said, let me put it in words that you might understand. F off is what he said. That's playground language because he's so retarded. And this is such a puppy show. They resulted to the playground. You know, I've got to stand up to him. I've got to tell him he's a bully. I've got to tell him to F off. That's what you have to do to bullies. You got to look in their eyes and tell him to F off. So he said, this is the language he understands. So this is what taking place. That's why we know we're in prophecy at the last ends, the last stages. As a matter of fact, let me hit the precepts. Right? Because the Trump discussion about taking over Greenland, gave a speech, right? This is the Danish president, in which he said, it is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. And then he let rip with the F-bomb, right? So let's go to it. Let's go to the precept because it's actually in the scriptures what we're talking about. This is why we know where we're at right now. So Daniel's chapters 2, right? Because this is what they call the Parliament, the EU, right? The EU, which is the European Union, in their debate, and they're supposed to be united, but let's read. So from 32 of Daniel 2, it says, this image, her head was of fine gold, his breasts and his arms of silver, his belly, his thighs. So the gold represents the Babylonians. It says the fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, and that's the Medes and the Persians. Breast and his arm of silver, and his thigh of brass. That's the so you had the Medes and the Persians, and you had the Greeks. The Greeks represents the brass. So it's the precious metals, and it's getting more inferior. From the gold to the silver to the brass. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. More inferior metals. Which that's where we are now with this EU. This oil and water can't mix. That's the same we heard. Neither can iron and clay mix. So it's fragmented. And this is what's taking place inside that parliament, where it's supposed to be coming to an agreement, coming to an understanding. And his playground talk, right? That's what goes on in the playground. So his legs and his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay, right? This is their kingdom. This is where we're at in prophecy, right? And that's what Daniel saw in his vision, that he's breaking down to the king Nebuchadnezzar, the king of his time, Daniel, and Daniel was highly revered, especially after breaking down that dream, that vision to King Nebuchadnezzar. And he was highly revered. He was given a high position as a governor, along with his companions too. The three companions, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the English. But yep, he broke down the dream, and that's where we're at today, because we're talking about, when you get into it, the Revelation 13 and 4, and also in 10. These are the revived Romans. They was given that they was revived once again from their death stroke, and this is the modern day Romans here. The EU, once again, around about 30 nations, which we see there is a whole heap of disagreements taking place. This is just another one where it just came out for everybody to see on YouTube and in TikTok. Let's read on. Thou sayest, so his legs of iron, Daniel 2 and 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. This is the bottom end of the statue. Thou sawest till that a stone. It's interesting because you've got all the precious metals, and it's coming down to the you had the brass, you had the silver, then you had the brass, then you had the iron and the clay. Less precious metals. Now you've got even a less precious metal, or it's not even a metal. Let me read. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image. This is a stone. Right, and it takes a stone to destroy these kingdoms, which is not, it's a very valuable stone when you get into it. Upon the feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. I'll read that again. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands. It's a raw stone. Right, for those that are into the stones and into all the precious metals, most are using this as a very good metaphor for us to understand spiritually. But it took place. It took place already. But we're waiting for the very last end of it, which we're at that end now. Which smote the image upon its feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. Right. So I wonder what that stone is. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken in pieces, all them empires, the ancient Babylonians, the Medes and the Persians, the Grecians, and eventually the last one, the ancient Romans, right? Broken to pieces together and became like the chaff, right? Smashed of summer, threw floors, and the wind carried them away. Yep. That no place was found for them kingdoms. There's no place for them, right? There's no place for that kind of. That's why we see what's taking place, all these kingdoms, and that's where we're at now. That's what we're waiting for, right? The wind carried them away, that no place was found for them, and the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Right, that stone, which is described as a raw stone, cutting without hands, is not so inferior after all. Is a great stone, right? And it became great and filled the whole earth. Right? This is the breakdown of Daniel's dream to Nebuchadnezzar. So this is where we're at now. This is where we're at now, in summary. So that's prophecy, man. So confusion is a perfect recipe for the end of a kingdom, and that's where we're at now. This fragmentation in the so-called EU, right? This disunity. Enough said on that. So, yep. Danish member of European Parliament. He said it, man. He said it. And let me hear it again, and then we're going to end up the video.
Mr. Trump, off. Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, off.
And that's how you deal with a bully. You got to look in his eyes and you got to tell him words that hopefully he should understand. And that's exactly what he said. Let me put it in words that you might understand. One more time.
Not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, off.
Right? Shalom to the sincere elect out there until the next one.
Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, golf.
So they resorted to the playground language. And this is what's happening in the... He's a big publisher in the United Nations.